Let's do some manual drills. So we're going to start with a nice classic, the heel toe. Now for any of these drills, if you want to, you can absolutely hold on. And the main point of these drills is to build strength in your legs. So if you start in a stagger, we're just going to go heel toe, heel toe. Now the most important thing is to keep a soft knee on the one that's going up on the heel. Very, very common when people start doing manuals is to straighten that leg, and it gets you up on that heel manual, but then you've got a locked knee. Keep a nice soft knee. So the idea here is to be able to do this quite comfortably in both sides. So my weight here is pretty 50-50 split. I have very slightly more on this back leg. You see what I'm doing now? I'm just going up, going down onto all four, swapping my staggers, and then going back up again. Now once this starts to feel more natural, you can keep on the heel toe for longer. So as you come in, stay on the heel toe, go to flat, heel toe, and go back out. This takes a lot of strength. And once you get to this, you're getting a nice lot of strength in your legs because you have to hold it from going too far. Now once it's nice and fluid, we can do some more. Once you're comfortable with that, there's a move called the split switch, would be a really good one to learn. So let's move on to toes. Now, toes are a little bit harder when you go up onto the two toes because you need to find your balance point. One thing I will note is I changed my wheels today to come outside, and all of a sudden my balance point is slightly different because that wheel was bigger. So do bear in mind, if you're changing equipment, just check that balance point before you start shooting around the rink and you splat. Hold on to find your balance point so you know exactly where you can go before you go too far on your toes. So make sure you know your happy place. Now, standing still doing toes is actually really, really hard. So I actually find giving a bit of movement is actually a lot easier. So it's only a little bit of movement, but just a little bit of movement helps you to keep your balance. If you think about sitting on a bike, you're going to tip. But if you've got a little bit of movement, it's a lot easier. It just gives you that little bit of momentum. So it's only a tiny bit of movement, but it does make it a lot easier. Now, as you feel more comfortable, you can obviously increase that movement. So you're sort of swapping feet. As I'm doing this, my hips are changing. So when one goes in front, my hips change. And that's just for balance, keeping that stagger. You can keep them straighter, but it's harder because you end up both toes together. So I find turning the hips makes it a little bit safer. So just a couple of bits to note when it comes to toe manuals. If your boots are a little bit big, so you've got some space here at the end, you're gonna notice it's hard to get up onto that toe because you're gonna have to go almost onto your toes like a ballerina to lift the heel up onto that front truck. See, my front trucks are quite a long way back, so that is gonna make a big difference. And also, it's hard not to, I know, try not to scrunch your toes up and hold on. Try and keep your feet loose and use your weight and your body rather than scrunching those toes up and holding on for dear life. So keeping this in mind, how we're going to do this little turn, this little wiggle, just to keep ourselves balanced in place, you can take that rolling and use that little wiggle as your momentum. So if I'm going to roll, I can do the same thing rolling. And it keeps me going, it keeps my momentum. So that's a really nice one to practice nice and slowly traveling around the rink. An alternative to that, if you're not quite ready to do the swapping, is you can just go up onto the toes and do a slight wiggle. And again, that's going to work like a bit of momentum. So I just go up and just kind of wiggle. Still going to keep me moving. Just a bit of a wiggle. Right, so let's try some heel manuals. The heel manual is slightly more scary. Do not lock your knee. That is the most important thing to have in your head whilst you're doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll, and we're just going to do one foot, whichever feels the most comfortable, in front, and we're going to push down into the heel and use it with a wiggle in front, and that is what's going to pull us along. So you can feel how you can work that heel manual. So I'm here, and this is the only thing pulling me along. I'm pushing down into this back truck, and that's all that's moving me. Now, don't forget to do both sides. So I've got a lot of weight on this back leg, and this is pulling me and pushing down into the heel. So that's really, really nice. It's a great way to practice your heel manual and to feel the balance of it and how you can make it work for you and hopefully not feel quite as scary. Heel heels static. I'm gonna hold on. Okay, so these are again quite uncomfortable when you do both. Soft knees. So it's important to practice both standing like this so you can feel again your tipping point, because obviously once you've got both of your feet up on heels, it's very easy to do your... So really important that you stay in a stagger with a bent knee. So if you need to, you can rebalance, realign your feet. That bent knee is going to really help. Okay, with our heel toe, we were doing a split. And with the toe, we were kind of staying in place, doing a similar thing. With the heel, I don't recommend doing, I'm definitely going to hold on, this. Because as you change feet, you will notice that my heels are together here. Very, very easy to go, whew, glad I've got this on. I don't recommend doing that. If you want to do it, flat, change, heel. But the easiest way to practice, again, is with a bit of roll. So it's much, much easier to get the front leg up than it is the back leg, because the back one is where you've got most of your weight. So to be able to lift this one, you're going to have to shift the weight to the heel. It makes it a little bit harder. So you need to make sure your staggered stance isn't too wide, and that's going to help you. But do not bring your feet together, because that's when bad things happen. So let me get up in that heel. See, I'm getting a bit of speed. The speed is actually going to be helpful. So I'm here, front one up, and then the back one. And the back one is going to be hard to lift. And what you'll need to do is shift that weight back and back and back until you feel the toes lift. The toes need to only lift a couple of millimeters, and I class that as a manual. So I'm going to be really, really bent here. Really nice and secure. Let's just really quickly go over the mechanics of this heel manual, because you want to lift this back leg, but most of your weight is going to be through your knee down into that toe. So to be able to lift the toe, you have to be able to release your weight from it. So you are going to have to bring the heel to replace the toe. So the heel is now under your knee, which is why it's so important not to lock that knee, because it needs to be your shock absorber still. So your staggered stance is going to close up as you bring this foot to release that toe. So bear that in mind. If you just think, I just cannot get that toe up, it's because you've got to swap the toe for the heel in that staggered stance. And that works for when you're rolling as well. Building this strength is going to allow you to do more and more complex moves, like this one here, when you're ready. And that's a whole nother video. I'm Katie, you've been with Skatie, and I'll see you next time. Bye.